So the last 2 days we've had more, one might say, theory about how we possibly could do work for Filipino seafarers. Well, in fact, it's not a theory only, but it's very much in practice, and there are a number of groups that do it. You yourselves do it. You're already experts in many ways. So studying this theory might just help you understand what you're already doing and help you understand how to do that better. But here in the Philippines, there are already groups that are doing wonderful work, and we have the great privilege of having three of the societies present to us today. We already heard about one of the groups that's doing work here in the Philippines. From June Pablo we heard on Monday. Now we'll hear from Sailor Society, then the Mission Seafarers Network here in the Philippines, and last Stella. We've already sort of learned a few tidbits about these groups in one way or the other, but now we get to hear it in a more fulsome way, what there is to know. So the first presenter will be Gavin Lim from Sailor Society, and I won't introduce it more because indeed that's what his presentation is on Sailor Society. Gavin, it's so wonderful that you're here with us today. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Jason. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gavin Lim from Sailor Society. I'm the regional manager. So I look after the programs for the whole of Asia. So we have work in Philippines, in Indonesia, as well as India. I'm also the head of the Crisis Response Network. Maybe some of you have heard about it. We run a 24/7 helpline, including chat, and we also do one-on-one crisis support. So the team is made up of currently 37 of our chaplains in-house. They are specially trained. I myself, I'm trained in suicide prevention, also critical incidents, stress management. So I'm a member of the ICISF, the International Critical Incident Stress Foundation. Quite a long thing. So I also am a resilience practitioner, and many of the things that we do in country has got to do with building up the resilience of the community that we work in. So over here in Philippines, I'm just going to go through some of the things that we do. They basically are for the benefit of seafarers when they're back home, their families, as well as the children, and also the community that they live in. So our belief is that because seafarers and their families live within a community, they need the communal support, which is very, very important. Many of you, through your daily work, will know that many of the problems that seafarers face are typically maybe 50%, 40% of them actually family or community problems that arises because of that. So the first one that we do, we look at the children. About 6 years back, we started what is known as Seafarers Pupils Club, where we work in schools itself. So we have the mandate from the Department of Education, and these children are related to seafarers. So the reason is, one of the stigma of Filipino seafarers is that years ago, they were seen to be like ATM machines, ATM. When they go home, they spend a lot of money, fiesta almost every day, they find hard to save. That was one of the problems. And although it sounds positive, but it's a stigma, because people think that the money coming from them is never ending. So they spend and they spend and they spend. What we aim to do is actually to get the children to understand the life of a seafarer, or your father or your mom who's a seafarer. What do they do? What do they go through? We incorporate extracurricular activities into the Department of Education's monthly themes. So the first month of the year is Bible month, Bible reading, and it's a school program. And then we might have Autism Day and all that. So we add our wellness principles and activities into the school's curriculum. So that's what we do. We have about 400 plus students in 5 locations. We are constantly looking to increase the number of schools that we engage in. Right? So it could be virtual due to the pandemic. So we ran like summer Bible camps for the children. It could be in person. We have started in-person activities again. And the ages range from 7 to 18. The 5 locations we have is in Tacloban. The school was badly hit after Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. 2 years after the tragedy, we still had children who, they were suffering from PTSD, some quite severe. So we were actually invited into the school to start conducting prayer meetings, Sunday school type of activities for them, and it grew from there. We have one in Borongan, which is the eastern part of Philippines, Tacloban and eastern Samar. These places are traditionally badly hit during typhoon season because of the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. So that's the first landfall, usually, and the devastation can be quite severe. Borongan and then Bantayan Island, we have 3 schools over there. So this is what we do for the children in schools. And then we also run a boat library. This is in Bantayan Island, where we actually have a boat, purpose-built boat with books and other AV materials, etc. And this boat travels around 5 islets. So when you go to the islets, you basically don't have internet connection or very, very poor connection. So children there, they are quite cut off from what we take for granted. So we go there, we provide reading, help them with some tuition, and the majority of the people helping us there, they are actually 2nd or 3rd year Bachelor of Education undergraduates. So we get the community involved to make the community better. The boat was donated by Anscombe Swire of the Swire Group. The Seafarers contribute a small amount every month to improve their community. So they donated a sum of money for us to build and run the boat. So that's what we promote, reading habits and other activities for children. So we have about 500 plus students aged from 5 to 18. We also work with the local government units in the daycare center. So they are 4 or 5 years old, and what we want to do is to start them reading, conversing in English as early as possible to get them ready for school. Because many of the schools, let's say in the Visayas region, which is central Philippines, they still conduct lessons in the local dialects. So we want them to be exposed as early as possible to English. So we need the blessings of the local government units in order to run it. There are safety concerns, and the Philippine Coast Guard is also involved to make sure that water survival skills, etc., are taught to the children and the volunteers. Very similar is something we call boat ferry, also for children in the same area. Some of these islets, you can see, these are actually teachers. So from one island to the other island, children might have to walk as far as 1.2 kilometers, sometimes in ankle-deep water in the morning just to get to school. And in the evening, when they finish at about 4:30 p.m., many of them are not able to actually get home on time because they need to wait for the parents or for someone to bring their little pump boats to fetch them home. And many children also miss out of school because of the inclement weather. In Philippines right now, if the local government raises storm signal number 1, nothing moves on the sea. Everything stops. So about 4 years back, we built 3 boats. They were donated by TK Foundation. Thanks very much to them. And we actually ferry the children in the mornings and in the evenings. We also hired a boatman to, man the boats. During the pandemic, in Philippines, they had something called modular studies because not everyone could go online. So they actually had to print out all the worksheets and homework, and the teachers had to actually distribute all these worksheets to the children. So we used the boat, gave the boats to the teachers to use it. So the teachers would use the boat, go to each island, give out all the homework, and then collect it back. So the boats were put in good use. So these are our education-based type of projects that we do. So this is what we basically do. We have about 300 plus students who benefit from it every day. Then, when the pandemic struck, in April 2020, we sat down and we thought, what would be the key thing that not only seafarers would need, but what would families, the children, and the community need? And within 3 months, we launched our mental health awareness training package, stress management, listening skills, and also suicide prevention and intervention package. To date, we have actually rolled this out to more than 2,500 people around Philippines, and it's still going on every day. We work very heavily with the United Methodist Church. They have 3 Episcopal areas in Philippines. 2 of my colleagues are actually from the United Methodist Church. And the Global Health Board of the UMC, as well as the Family and Community Outreach Ministries, we partner with them to reach out. So we have a pool of volunteers that are trained in all of these to give it out to more people. So these are not only meant for seafarers, but because of the pandemic, it was open to anyone and everyone in the community. And of course, seafarers, they do live in many of those communities. Then we also, lastly, we have crisis intervention and recovery. Much of the work, of course, when seafarers, when they have a crisis, they face a problem. So any one of you in your centers, if you need someone who can speak Tagalog or any of the Filipino dialects, you can always contact us, Mission of Seafarers over here, or Stella. We always have a group of responders ready to talk to them. And many a times during crisis, it's much better to be able to converse in their native language because of the nuances and being culturally sensitive to them. So we have a pool of people that speaks Tagalog, we have people that speaks Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, Ukrainian. So when cases come to us and they need that initial intervention, we have and we can make arrangement for people to speak to them in their native language. Over here in Philippines, it's a little bit different because of the calamities that they face every year. 20 typhoons, some of them do make landfall, many of them don't, but the rains that all these storms bring causes a lot of landslides and other problems. So we do actually go out into the community sometimes when we are invited to provide intervention. So what you see in the photographs over there, these are meant actually for children. So they are age appropriate. We go in, we typically use the trauma healing interventions by the American Bible Society. So we work with the Philippines Bible Society. One of my colleagues, she is a translator of the Bible from English to Waray. Yeah. So my Filipino friends that would know Pastor Iris, she is on the panel that does the translation. So we make use of crisis healing and recovery, Bible-based interventions for children to get them and help them out of the trauma that they face. So this is, in short, very short, what we do here in Philippines. But it looks like different kind of projects, but they're actually all intertwined. Building a good community, and then benefiting the children, the families, and the seafarers themselves. Thank you very much.
We have time for one or two questions, points of clarification, or bigger questions for Gavin. Any questions that anyone has? And Father Bruno has the microphone. Jeff, if you could just say your... it's partially for the camera as well to pick up the sound of your question.
Jeff Willard from the Seafarers Centers, Stella in Galveston, Texas. Any thought of expanding? See the countries that you service now. Do you have any ideas or any thoughts of maybe having some satellite sailor societies, perhaps in the United States?
Very good question, Jeff. Thank you very much. We were actually thinking, we actually thought about it from about 5 years, I think it's about 5 or 6 years back. We actually thought about it, and we were actually looking and working towards registration, a 503 registration in the US. Hasn't happened yet. But I do know that going forward, there's always a good opportunity to work in the US. I think that's very, very important, especially in the Houston, Dallas, Florida area where there are lots of seafarers coming in and out of those areas. Thanks.
There is a International Sailor Society in Vancouver in Canada, yep. And the Sailor Society used to be very, very active in Canada in a different way, still is with their foundation, but it's more of a foundation that uses its money to help the other seafarer centers in Canada. I'll be happy to pass on more information.
Hi, Andy Deacon, Naval Military Bible Society. This is fantastic work, and it's really impressive. Is this in addition to your chaplaincy work, or are you moving away from seafaring chaplaincy into other activities that support up front and behind the scenes?
So whether we are moving away from port chaplaincy to this other work, not at all. The reason is about all this work started to pick up a lot of speed in 2013, 2014. So we had the Bohol earthquake, and then the super typhoon Haiyan, and many seafarers, they came forward, and shipping companies, they came forward to donate and say, hey, what are you guys doing in Philippines? So that kind of like increase our exposure to community work in Philippines. We have 3 ordained members in the team. It's a team of 5 only in Philippines doing all of this, only 5. Three of them are actually ordained ministers. Two of them are port chaplains. One is in Subic Bay, and the other chaplain, Nicodemus, is based in the National Capital Region, so he looks after Manila. Over the last few years, it's been fairly difficult to ship visit, especially in the port of Manila. So my thinking was this: if we cannot go to them, then we must go to where the seafarers are, which is in the community and such. So at the moment, yes, we still have chaplains in those ports. I just wanted to highlight this because it's something additional that we do in the Philippines.
Is there a last question? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So I have to put it on the screen. Next, I invite Laila Tolentino to come forward. You already know her. She has been ferrying us around here and there. Laila, it is so wonderful that your team has helped with that logistical support of this conference. We're very, very happy about that. And we're very pleased to hear about Mission to Seafarers Philippines. Please come. So you'll have to actually look at the screen when you just push this one. It won't be on this screen, it'll just be on that screen.
Thank you, Jason. Hello, everyone. Just checking, are you awake? Raise your hand. All right. We had a very full 2 days already, right? And today is much more. All right. So I am Lala, if you have met me previous days. But my real name is Lailani. My maiden name is Tolentino, and my married name is Rahon. And my nickname is Lala. Okay, you have my complete name. And if you want to remember me, just sing La La La. And you would always remember me. All right, because that's my fear. You might forget everything, but at least you would remember my name. And hopefully you could get something from this presentation. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you, of course, to Jason, and to be part of this wonderful community of ICMA. So we are the Mission to Seafarers, and I'm sure many or most of you knew about us. We are 160 years, more than, am I right? In 50 countries, in 200 ports. But in the Philippines, we are only about to turn 8 years old. So we are still a grader in the Philippines. So it happened because of the partnership of the Church of England and the Iglesia Filipina Independiente for both churches' community project. So we are in partnership with the IFI. We started the work in 2014. I think Jason was a witness when we are a baby. And now we are 8 years, turning 8 on May 1st. And we operate as a program of the church for the last 6 years. And just in 2021, we are legally registered organization in the Philippines. That's just a bit quite a while before we could do the registration, and there's a lot of challenges. I know Gavin could relate about it. So what we do, these are the 4 core areas that we do. We look into the welfare just as the other welfare organization do. I'm sorry, I'm standing here so that you may see me. We do welfare, we do provide transport service. That's why we did that for you as well yesterday. And we'll be doing on Thursday and Friday too. We have the family network and we have the well-being program. Maybe you would ask, I had a question the first day, what do you do? Do you visit ships? No, we don't visit ship. We only do programs for the families in the communities and the seafarers in the communities and in dormitories. So I'd like to discuss more on the family network. So with family network, what we do here is we go to the provinces. At the moment, we are present in 9 provinces. You could see from the north to the mid of the Philippines, in the south, in the Visayas region, we have 17 chapters. So from Ilocos Norte, we have 2 municipalities. In Pangasinan, we have 2 municipalities. We have in Bataan, Bulacan. These are 2 provinces together. In Greater Manila area, we're in different cities are together. We have in Laguna, the south of Manila. We have in Romblon, an island in the middle. And we have in Aklan, 2 in Aklan. This is nearby Boracay Island, if you haven't visited. We have Antique, and we have Bohol, which is the biggest that we have. There are 5 municipalities. So we are going to these communities, targeting the municipalities, because we want to build a caring community within them. We want them to fellowship within them. We want them to find the support within them. So if you would notice, these are scattered, but you could see the proximity of each of the families of the seafarers. By the way, I'm also a family of a seafarer. I am a wife of a seafarer. So I perfectly understand what are the challenges of a family of a seafarer. And many of them would come to us that the community would look at them like they are rich, they don't have problem. In the Philippines, by the way, if you're earning dollars, you don't have the right to have a problem. Yeah, but it's because they thought that it's only the poor people has a problem. So if you are a seafarer, you're earning dollars, even the government, and during the pandemic, this is a very sad story, from our volunteers in the provinces, they would tell us, if you would have the courtesy call meeting with our mayor, could you tell her or him that during the pandemic, they did not give us any aid while our seafarer families are not on board and we don't have any source. And that's how the seafarers are treated in the Philippines, because they are dollar earners. So this is where we are. We mainly, these are some of our family network members. In every chapter, we average around 100 families in every chapter. So you could imagine we have at least 3,000 members overall. And we operate by the help of our volunteers. So these are some of the activities in the family network. During the pandemic, we got a lot of chat messages, of email messages about the anxiety that both the families and their children are experiencing. The mother would ask us, I'm being stressed because the children are just here at home, and I don't know what else I could ask to do for these children. As Gavin mentioned, they are given modules. For some areas, there are internet, they're given online classes, but the children are still unhappy with that setup. So the Mission to Seafarers thought about an online workshop, and we did a music workshop online. Every week, there is a music workshop held online, and then the product of that online classes would be a song number that, of course, online as well. They were sent a piece, they record their piece, and everyone was compiled into one file. And maybe later, if we have time, I can show you. So we had that children workshop. We had the webinars on stress management to engage our members that, hey, even if government is somehow forgetting you, we are here. We have understand your stress. We understand the long distance relationship. So we have a fellowship and webinars about marriage enrichment, relationship, family and relationship, of course, stress management. Of course, with the Mission to Seafarers, we have this yearly event, the Sea Sunday. So even if we weren't able to meet, we have this online. What we do during the Sea Sunday is we, of course, reflect on the values and the teachings and how we could actually inspire the seafarers, but also to educate their families on the life at the sea. As mentioned also earlier and the other days, seafarers are seen to be ATM machines, seem to receive a note from the family if it's a purchase order. But many of the families doesn't know what the life is at the sea. So So during Sea Sundays, we have speakers from the seafarers themselves. But then, some seafarers also doesn't know the challenges at home. So both, we complete the circle that during this time, we also ask for a family member to share about their life. It's hard to be alone at home. So it's not just a seafarer having a hard time, but also the families at home. So during the Sea Sunday, we maximize this event, and this is held in all of our chapters. So it's not just one Sea Sunday, which we actually celebrate second Sunday of July, but in the Philippines, it's the 4 Sundays of July, where all of the chapters have their own Sundays, and some would have, some chapters would celebrate 3 in one Sunday. So those are things we are giving to the families. And now that we're able to meet them, or even prior to the pandemic, we give them a venue to share, to fellowship. We give them questionnaires just to ask about their challenges, and just like what we do, we group them and then let them share of their challenges. As Bishop earlier said, we understand each other because we are on the same boat. And yes, the seafarers families has to feel that they are on the same boat and they're able to understand each other so that they could be each other's support. Why? Because not all of us will always be there in their communities, except for the Sailor Society maybe in Bantayan Island, but not 24/7 that we will be there. So we are empowering them to be each other's support. We hold team buildings, we hold fellowships, we hold seminars, and year-end fellowships. How can we do this? We are only 4 in the team in the Philippines. They are here, my team is here. Maybe you could talk to them. We operate through the volunteers. We have about 125 volunteers. In every chapter, we have at least 7 volunteers, and in the national level in our office, we have 10 volunteers. Various skills that we have. There are seafarers, there are retired seafarers, children of seafarers, wife of seafarers, mother, sister, anyone related to seafarers, they are our volunteer. Very, very inspiring. If you would be able to meet some of them, you would really want to work with what we are doing. So I hope some of you would also meet some of the families. So they are our arms in the communities because we cannot go to all of these communities. So next is we have the welfare service. So we provide a walk-in. We have an office in 6 kilometers away from here in the heart of Manila. We offer these types, practical support, legal, medical, and through our professional network. So this support, we don't do it by ourselves. Again, we are only 4, but we do it through the help of our partners, also with the fellow societies here. So some during prior to the pandemic, we do also hospital visitations to the members of the family network. For the provinces whom we cannot visit, our volunteers do visit them. So what we do every week as well, we have family leaders kumustahan. So this is done online too. And so that every member, every chapter, we get to know what is happening there. And there is a national meeting held also online so that our program coordinator would be able to guide every one of them. So we provide safe space, our office as well. If you could see the seafarers in Manila are not from Manila. That's why there are dormitories. You would see a dormitory on Friday. So some of them will have to stay for a week or maybe a month working on their documents. So our office is open for them while they're waiting for their documents. So during the pandemic, we also were able to provide hygiene kits, food aids to the dormitories. If you're aware of the news that there were about 20,000 seafarers locked down in Manila from March to May of 2020. So both several societies like ICMA, AHOY, us, we work together and on our own little ways, we're able to provide some of food aid and hygiene kits to the different dormitories. It's inevitable that stress is very high during those times, but we cannot go out and be there for them in their places, but we do it online. So kumustahan is a Tagalog word of saying, how are you doing? So we have it regularly. So we also have a justice and welfare works that we do. We provide moral support and practical assistance to both the families and seafarers reaching out to us who were abandoned at sea. We received very high requests of this during the pandemic. Those who are stranded or missing and have repatriation issues and unclaimed salaries. We also advocate for seafarers and families. So how do we do this? Again, especially during the pandemic, we facilitate online meetings. We facilitate dialogues to the government agencies, to Mr. Pampolina the other day. So, but it was just during his term of office, I think starting January or February last week. But prior to that, it was the POEA, it was OWA, it was the Department of Foreign Affairs, different agencies that we have to deal with before the BMW. So we connect the families to these agencies so that they could have the update. You could only feel the stress of the families with the abandoned seafarers on board or missing loved ones. So what we can only do is to write to the government agencies and facilitate the meetings with them. At least it's an ease. So we also coordinate with international partners. Maybe some of you, I don't know if we have reached out to you, or AOS, Stella, Maris, of course, MTS network. So we also did that, especially we received these cases from the families, from the communities themselves, and they don't know where to go. So we facilitate that. We also, as I said, advocate for the seafarers and families' welfare via the consultation with the legislators. That's why maybe our speaker later, he knew us very well because we always had a meeting about, when talking about the seafarers' welfare. We present in some time, we were able to get an opportunity with a meeting with the Congress. When we have an active case, we are able to patch the stranded or abandoned seafarers in China in a meeting with the Congress, where they able to relate their experience. And thank God they were all repatriated. And just 2 weeks ago, I'm 15 minutes, okay? So, and just 2 weeks ago, we together with AOS, together with ITF, there were 5 fishers who were repatriated, and all of the 3 of us helped for these fishers to be home and claim their salaries. So we work together, we collaborate together, and just last year we also had this learning collaboration with ITF, with AOS, and MTS. Because there are several cases that are coming, and sometimes we don't know how to as well. So we have to also study, we have to learn. So for us to have a better result and synergize, the ITF, AOS, and Mission to Seafarers had a learning collaboration where we talk about active cases, we talk about the policies, so that if seafarer or families would come to us, we would be able to guide them on what to do. Because that is the problem of seafarers and families. They don't know what to do. When you go to the family in the community and you ask them, how long is the contract of your seafarer family? They just know maybe 9 months. So what is the ship's name of your father or your husband? No one knows. But when is the allotment coming? Everyone is very actively saying, it hasn't arrived yet actually. But when they got a problem, they are forced to know where is the office, what is the IMO, where is the ship. So these are the things that when you go in the community, you would just realize that while the seafarers are sacrificing, the families doesn't really know what is happening and doesn't know what information they have to have on their hands in any event of crisis. So, of course, we have the transport service. You actually have experienced that. So it's not just every day a standby, but it's by request. So it depends on the destination, but more likely it's in Manila. But on emergency cases, we could bring a seafarer or family from Manila to the province, of course, again, by prior arrangement. So these are the things that we do. And of course, our well-being program, if some of you may have knew about it, we have the We Care program. It's our well-being program talking about long-distance relationship, talking about the effects of social media, of Facebook and everything, the financial well-being, and the onboard mental health champion. So with me is a flyer we have here, and it talks about issues that affects the mental health and some tips of how to address this. So we have here breathing exercise, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, round off, think like a star. So this is available for you all and to your seafarer, how to regain controls and what is the social well-being. This course or program is also available or given to the families and the seafarers through our volunteer trainer, through us, and through professional trainers, face-to-face and online. So we provided this during the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, and during the pandemic, post-pandemic, both online, face-to-face, to about, I think, we have reached 5,000 already in terms of giving out this seminar. So we could always request this to us. So sometimes the result of this in the community that we go and we offer this, where there is the seafarer and there is the family, they just realized only on that seminar what it is to be at home and to be at sea. It's always good to have the mix in the audience, where there is the seafarer and there is the family. And this We Care program help us to have the family understand. So this year we are rolling out the financial well-being, and hopefully there would be a lot more families who would realize the value, not just of the money, but of the sacrifice of the seafarers. So that's all that we do, and you can find us 6 kilometers away from here. And for you to understand better and to remember us, we're giving you these flyers. And please, if you need more copies, we bring here some more, so just approach the dean there. And thank you very much for that.
Can I ask, actually, if do you have copies enough for everyone?
Yes.
Could your team actually just hand them out? If you want to hand
Yes.
out one per person, that would be good. Now is the time to hand them out while people are thinking fresh about it.
Yes, please give them both.
Yeah, if you could give one per person of both of the flyers, I think that would be good.
We just take it.
Yeah,
you
just
just
stay
stay
here,
here.
and her team can hand them out. Does anyone have any questions for that? Yes, Father Ian, you want to know what the mission to Seafarers is?
I have to confess that I'm one of Mrs. Tolentino's greatest fans, even though this is the first time we have actually met.
Thank you.
And this my question to you is actually a question that a number of Filipino seafarers ask me about the family network. Those chapters that are scattered around the country, so many of the seafarers say to me, nothing in Mindanao.
Yes.
And there's just that plea from the heart, if there's any chance of something developing there. Thank you.
Definitely. Actually, during my first month here in the mission, I went to Mindanao and talked to a couple of leaders there. However, when we scheduled it in 2020, we had a pandemic. So hopefully, Father, yes, there is. It's in the pipeline this year. So we hope there would be in Davao or in Cagayan de Oro within the year. Yes, thank you.
It's nice to have a good question and a good answer right away. Any other questions for Lala?
Ron Kiesel from Durban, South Africa. Just a comment on your name. In my country, the word lala means sleep. Means sleep.
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 Oh no.
I just want to comment, you did very well in not making us lala.
Thank you.
What is reassuring from you and also our previous speaker is we work with the seafarers internationally. That's our focus. We can't work with the families, but to also know there's some kind of backup. Yes, you haven't covered every area, we can't, but they're working at it. Thank you for the work you're doing and for supporting us to be able to support them. And I think we're together a team. Thank you.
Yes, I think we have to make the circle of service, full. While you're doing it there, somewhere out there in the world, we are also doing something here at home that makes it a complete circle. So thank you very much too. All right.
Let's say thank you to our speakers. Though she did keep us awake, I think we should nonetheless just stand up and stretch for a moment before our third and final speaker, Father John Mission. So just stand up where you are, don't move, other than to stretch and to just get ready for our third and final presentation.
Jeff gave you one of his cards. I'd like to get, or I guess you need to know. Will you tell me where I can get that at? Is it Facebook? Yes. Yes, please.
Okay, please come and back and sit down. I told people not to leave and the whole section left. I think they went to use the facilities. We'll just wait for one moment, Father John. People will come back, I have no doubt. This is not a break. Please don't go anywhere too far. My regulations have been misinterpreted. We will have the real break in just a few minutes. Okay, as people come back, please come and take your seats again. Gary and Gary in the back. Please come and sit down. We have now our third and final presenter on this panel. Last but not least, Father John Mission will be with us from Stella Maris, Philippines. He's wearing the right T-shirt for his role. Father John, thank you so much for being with us, and we're eager to hear more about Stella Maris, Philippines.
Yeah. I need an assistance. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Jason. And of course, here I am, John, with a mission. So, good afternoon, fellow chaplains and, of course, pastoral workers for the people of the sea. Today, in behalf of our Stella Maris Bishop Promoter, Most Reverend Roberto Cruz Santos, who is now in Bataan, and of course, the around 14 chaplains with around almost 500 volunteers all over the Philippines, I am representing Stella Maris Philippines as its new director. I was just appointed as the new National Director of Stella Maris here in the Philippines. Again, to be here with you today to present to you what Stella Maris Philippines has been doing also for the welfare of the people of the sea, most especially our seafarers and families. Of course, the role is a real challenge considering the various stakeholders and concerns we are facing in and out of the organization. But with God's divine help combined with a heart to serve, we believe we will succeed in delivering the mandate given to us. And in fact, Stella Maris Philippines continues to make an impact to the lives of our seafarers, fishers, and families. Your participation of this 5-day AHOY training course to know and learn the Filipino culture and values of our seafarers only shows that you wish to have a holistic knowledge and image of who really this seafarer is. You have met Filipino seafarers and you are continually committed to meeting them. Filipino seafarers become the recipients of the various services that your respective centers are initiating for their welfare, such as visiting them on board, conducting dialogue of life, bringing them to your center for rest and recreation, giving them gifts as consolation and as manifestation that you really care for them, helping them in times of crisis and troubles while they are away from home. But how much do you know them? One volunteer of Stella Maris Cebu, because I'm based in Cebu, who worked previously in Stella Maris Madagascar, as a volunteer realized that only when she went home that made her knowledge complete who really the seafarer is. So while you are striving to serve our Filipino seafarers there abroad and provide whatever practical helps you can extend to them, here in the Philippines, the cost of migration have been felt and experienced. Such as, for example, of being away from home, staying away from family. The biggest emotional challenge which every seafarer have to face is that they have to live apart from their friends, loved ones, and family. While the seafarers are away, they may face various concerns, such as the following: news of illness or death among family members. And this is actually the power of networking and ecumenism. 2 weeks ago, Father Jun Yanez, a chaplain of the Mission to Seafarers in Antwerp, asked Ma'am May Jose, who is here also with us today, to send to us a message requesting us if we could visit the wake of the father of the seaman who happened to be in Antwerp. Immediately in response, we visited the family there in Cebu, prayed with them, and gave us an amount of financial help. The family that really expect a visit from 3 priests at the same time, a cruise ship chaplain from Liverpool, the regional chaplain of the Coast Guard, and yours truly. Finding ways and means to be able to locate and visit their families is just a small sacrifice on our part compared to the feeling of loss and being away from home of the seafarer. There's also problems of parenting. Every year we organize recollection and youth encounters for sons and daughters of seafarers. During these encounters, we found out that a number of them have resentments and hatred towards their father because of his absence. This puts pressure to the remaining spouse to explain properly and make sure that their children would understand their current situation. This youth encounter supports the remaining spouse and enhances understanding of the seafarer's family's situation. Third is about marital infidelity. Having an extramarital affair is a common issue also, hurting seafarers and their families. This happens either way to the wife or husband and is one of the major concerns of families. Exactly a week ago, this crewing manager called me up at around 11 in the evening, asking me for help with regards to a captain he just hired. The captain ultimately was called up in Manila and undergone another laboratory prior to his embarkation on board, but he failed the laboratory because he's now an HIV positive. I made an advice to have courage enough to report the situation to health department because only the agency has the capacity to deal with this situation. Pity to the wife too, who every now and then would call the crewing manager for follow-up when her husband could start his work on board, because the wife doesn't know the situation of her husband. And this made the crewing manager call me up in the middle of the night because he doesn't know what to do. Spiritual growth, counseling, and constant communication are some of the measures that are being done by the centers in order to minimize the occurrence of this situation. Fourth, mismanagement of financial resources. Money matters must be handled and taken care of judiciously. There was an issue that we have handled about a father who would not give allotment to the wife due to financial mismanagement. Instead, the allotment was sent to the child. It became the parentalization of children. It was really difficult to imagine such. With our limited resources, Stella Maris Philippines, through the 14 archdioceses and dioceses where we are present, from La Union in Luzon to Isabela de Basilan in Mindanao, try to help our seafarers and families respond to these challenges. That is why, in our latest strategic planning last October of 2022, we set this goal. People of the sea have access the integrative pastoral care and services towards wholeness. By fulfilling our four main objectives, which are the following. Pastoral care. Pastoral care services enhance for the people of the sea towards becoming integrated persons through training and development, spiritual sustenance, legal assistance, and family and community engagement. Organizational expansion, second. We try to increase number of Stella Maris organized group of seafarers, fishers, and their families. Third, networking. Strengthen networks and linkages with government line agencies and those related to the Stella Maris stakeholders towards strong ministering with the people of the sea. Fourth is sustainability. Stella Maris is developed and organized towards self-sustaining centers with available financial resources. As mentioned, Stella Maris Philippines faces enormous challenges. However, each Stella Maris in the Philippines is unique while facing different challenges and consequently answers to them in different ways. There are programs and services common to all centers, and there are also specific and based on local situations. Included in the services provided by Stella Maris Network Philippines are the following. Site visitation, either ship, hospital, and home visitation. So right now, for example, because of these 29 Filipino seafarers who have been abandoned in Australia, so right now, for example, my staff there in Cebu is visiting at least 5 seafarers families, part of the 29, and we give them also some assistance. Of course, we do pre-departure orientation seminars, at least in Cebu, in Manila, at our offices, we give pre-departure orientation seminar. And we're glad because right now, every Thursday, the pre-departure orientation of OWA Region 7 is held at Stella Maris Seafarer Center, Cebu. So that's how our partnership is with OWA. But of course, in other shipping agencies, manning agencies also like V-ships. We give values enrichment seminars, either to the seafarers, to the families of seafarers, and most especially those who are preparing themselves also for the life at sea, our maritime students. We give paralegal advising and referrals. So we have here Attorney Gurecho Sapalo Velez, our partner. And of course, we have accommodation and free Wi-Fi. Every day, the centers in Manila, they accommodate around 350 seafarers a day. And there in Cebu, right now, we have at least 130 seafarers staying at the center right now. We conduct youth encounters for sons and daughters of seafarers. We do family gatherings and seafarers' wives core groups. Last Sunday, I invited a former ombudsman who happens to be a president of Law Inc. Law Inc. stands for Legal Alternative for Women. And according to them, this is an NGO, and according to them, half of their clients are seafarers' families or OFWs. Then we do parenting and dialogue of life seminars, training and development, either Christian leadership, financial literacy, cooperative and skills training, recollections, masses, wake and funeral assistance, distribution of relief goods. During the pandemic, I think we spent around $250,000 US for rice and cash donation to those affected by the pandemic, and also the Typhoon Odette. Repatriation and prison assistance, Christmas gifts and gift giving on special occasions, emergency assistance, student scholarship. So right now in Cebu, for example, we have around 10 working scholars. They are hands-on in providing service to those seafarers staying at our center. We have spiritual and personal formation, of course, linkages and networking, and the coordination of the National Seafarers Day. Last year, during our training, we also presented our Stella Maris Philippines outreach report that covered the period of January 1, 2017 to June 30, 2022. It is divided into three main beneficiaries categories: families, seafarers, and fishers. The total number of seafarers, families, and fishers we assisted reached to 210,927. The total fishers assisted reached to only 2,669 because the fishing ministry is something new also for us. The total seafarers we assisted reached to 201,625, of course, because of the accommodation that we provided them. The total families we assisted reached to 6,634. In 1996, our former President of the Philippines, President Fidel Ramos, made a presidential proclamation that every last Sunday of September would be the National Seafarers Day, to give tribute and honor to the Filipino seafarers. And the Apostleship of the Sea was the one he tasked to spearhead the activity with the support of the various maritime agencies and other maritime stakeholders. Until now, celebration of NSD has been in place, and it's a very big event for Stella Maris. This coming March 29 to 31, 2023, in partnership with the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, we are going to conduct the third National Assembly of Seafarers' Wives. It is also called Seafarers Family Circle Conference, to be held at Prince Hotel, Manila. Because of our good partnership and relationship with OWA, I remember last year, the office of OWA in Cebu caught on fire. So I accommodated the office of OWA. They conducted their transaction there in our social hall at Stella Maris Seafarers Center. So because of our good relationship with them, I would also like to stress that during the assembly, a memorandum of agreement will be signed also by Stella Maris Philippines and OWA, that both are working together, helping each other, that is synodality, to provide welfare services to the seafarers' families. In closing, I pray that God continually sustain our ministry and the people working with and for it. May the Blessed Virgin Mary, the star of the sea, Stella Maris, protect and guide us and the people of the sea. Mabuhay!
Thank you very much, Father John, for this presentation. So again, we have a few moments for questions, and maybe is Father Bruno around with the microphone again? I can't see him, but I know he's there somewhere. Does anyone have any questions for Father John? Up here, Murphy's Law is, it's right up here in the front by me. Yes. Do you need to know what Stella Maris is?
Oh, let me think about that. Maybe I know. I'm Monica from Stella Maris Hamburg, and I have a very practical question. So whenever we encounter Filipino seafarers where the family has a problem, I can just contact any Stella Maris chaplain in the Philippines, or how and where can I get them in touch with each other?
Yes, actually this is my calling card, and I would be distributing my calling cards also. So again, we are present in 14 chaplaincies, but of course, we have Stella Maris Philippines, so you can actually contact me anytime. So hopefully, you, the chaplains, the representative of this ICMA from different countries, if ever you meet Filipino seafarers, please also connect these seafarers with us, with Stella Maris Philippines.
Thank you very much. So do you have the cards?
Yes. I'm also giving, I only brought 44 Stella Maris Philippines t-shirt. So if you're interested, my assistant will be giving it to you, but I don't have triple XL, I think.
So there's one question, another gift to put in your bags on the way home. This is always wonderful. Next question, Ron, yes.
Again, Ron, Durban, South Africa. Comment, question, maybe ignorance that is showing itself here. That circle, that Lala, that word you used, I think that's so clear. Maybe an ignorant concern. 3 organizations did a presentation on what you do for families and children, and we really appreciate that, and that forms that circle together with us. Do you work together? Or is everybody doing their own thing? Because who do we contact? Father John or Lala or, sorry.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I think, we always connect with each other, especially in providing service, most especially to those, if you remember, right? That was September 2020 when this livestock vessel sank in Japan. So after that, we connect with MTS, even Sailor Society. So during the pandemic, we have this continuing partnership, and even until now, the power of networking, the power of ecumenism is very present in our ministry. Ma'am May Jose contacted me, and I immediately reached out to the Seafarers family.
So I guess in follow-up to his question, for some of these family networks, do you try to work in different cities, or do you take into consideration where the other family networks are?
For example, here in Manila, so they have their own organization of seafarers families. So they are free. So I think Father Paulo has the number. And of course, there in Cebu, we tried also to organize the seafarers families, most especially in the parishes and communities. So the same with other archdioceses and dioceses.
Thank you. Another question? Yes.
Deacon Dillon.
Thank you, Father John. This is more a recommendation if it's not already being done. In your pre-departure orientation seminars that you do, to encourage seafarers to be more proactive in seeking help when they come to our ports around the world. Because, we offer, we're not, in my opinion, we don't get enough of them searching for us when they are in need. They know we kind of exist, but they don't feel like they can really reach out to us. We're always reaching out to them, but if they're in any need, remind them that we exist for their benefit in our chaplaincies and welfare centers around the world.
Yeah, yes, Reverend. No? That's what we do, no, during the giving of the pre-orientation seminar to seafarers. We really encourage, no, our seafarers to connect with whatever Stella Maris or other welfare organizations if they would be able to reach this particular port in the world. We really try, we really encourage them to reach out.
Join me in saying thank you to Father John for